عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد محمد. اللهم صل على محمد آل محمد وعجل فرجهم. لا إله إلا الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على محمد.
يا من أرجوه لكل خير وآمن سخطه عند كل شر، يا من يؤتي الكثير بالقليل، يا من يؤتي من سعله، يا من يؤتي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرفه تحننا منه ورحمة. أعطني بمسألة إياك جميع خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة، واصرف عني بمسألة إياك جميع شر الدنيا وشر الآخرة، وإنه خير منفوس ما أعطيت. وزدني من فضلك يا كريم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام، يا ذا النعماء والجود، يا ذا المن والطول. حرم شيبتي على النار.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله أنها قالت دخل علي برسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعوذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتني بالكساء اليماني فغطني به. فأتيت بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت عليك السلام يا قرتين وثمرت فؤادي. فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا يا رسول الله أتأذن لأن أدخل معك تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرتين وثمرت فؤادي. فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وخاك تحت الكساء. فدعنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا. السلام عليك يا من اختار الله أتأذن لأن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن أمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو ما ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء فقال عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء فقال عليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بزأتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ بي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن هاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم واذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل. فقال الله عز وجل وملائكته ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدهيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبألوها وبنوها. قال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لأن أحبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبنا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جوم من شيعتنا ومحبنا وفيه مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة اللهم صل على محمد وآله. سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. زخم دل دکھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. محفل جمائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. بام و در سجائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. جشن ہم منائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. جشن ہم منائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. زخم ہے ابھی تازہ مکہ اور مدینہ کے. شام و کوفہ کرب و بلا ہم بلا نہیں سکتے. از سقیفتائی دم غیر سے نہیں پہنچے. جتنے دکھ اٹھائے ہیں ہم نے کلمہ گویوں سے. ایک ایک چکائیں گے ایک ایک چکائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. شک ہے جن کو اللہ کے عدل اور عدالت پر. منصب نبوت پر سیدہ کی عصمت پر. مرتضیٰ کی احمد سے متصل نیابت پر. جن کو شک ہے بارہ پر 12ویں کی غیبت پر سب ہی مار کھائیں گے، سب ہی مار کھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ نام پر صحابہ کے کام کافروں جیسے، نام پر صحابہ کے کام فاسقوں جیسے، نام پر صحابہ کے کام منکروں جیسے، نام پر صحابہ کے کام مشرکوں جیسے، سب ہی منہ چرائیں گے، سب ہی منہ چرائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ دعوی محبت جو صبح و شام کرتے ہیں، ان کے دشمنوں سے بھی راہ و رسم رکھتے ہیں، خمس بھی نہیں دیتے، غیبتیں بھی کرتے ہیں، مومنوں سے بھی دل میں بغض و کینہ رکھتے ہیں، کس طرح نبھائیں گے، کس طرح نبھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ یہ ہمارے مکر و ریا شاطرانہ عیاری، کیا ہماری صوم و صلات اور یہ عزاداری، کتنا ہے خلوص ان میں کس قدر ریاکاری، کیا امام کی خاطر ہم نے کی ہے تیاری، کیسے منہ دکھائیں گے، کیسے منہ دکھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ الاجل جو کہتے ہیں آ گئے تو کیا ہوگا، کیا ہے اپنی تیاری پیش ہم کریں گے کیا، سبت جعفر اپنا تو کل یہی ہے سرمایہ، حمد و نعت و سوز و سلام اور منقبت نوحہ ہم یہی سنائیں گے، ہم یہی سنائیں گے जब इमाम आएंगे हाल गम सुनाएंगे जब इमाम आएंगे बर मोहम्मद व आल मोहम्मद सलावत
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sayyid Hasan Rizvi, respected elders, dearest brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum, Jamia wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the love of our seventh holy Imam, Imam Musa al-Kazim, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Surah Fatiha is requested for all marhumin listed on the screen, as well as all other marhumin. Surah Mubarak al-Fatiha. Dua Shfa Mary's is requested for all those in need here and elsewhere, as well as those listed on the screen. Let us recite together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. Ya Allah. There will inshallah be a ladies' sufro parallel program on Thursday, February 9th. All those wishing to donate towards this event are requested to see either Sister Siddiqa Manji or Sister Sajda Pirbai. At this time, let us invite Sayyid Hasan Rizvi to please come forward for tonight's Majlis. Bar Muhammad wa Muhammad salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Mu'mineen, mu'minat, brothers and sisters in Islam and Iman, Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the past few discussions, we've been talking about the idea of knowledge, ilm, ta'aleem, education. So I figured for tonight, we can look at one of the hadith on this subject as well, which seems to break down in very simple terms what is a easy to understand path towards real and true knowledge. Now, a lot of times when people are interested in spirituality or Islamic education, then sometimes they get stuck because there's a lot of different options available, right? And I don't just mean like, there's all these classes you can take online, many speakers and scholars, lectures are available. There's a lot of that. What I mean is specifically, especially those who are, let's say, looking for books. A lot of them will just randomly grab anything off of, let's say, Al-Islam or whatever they might find in their library, or just grab anything. So they don't have a trajectory and a specific like tariqah and a path about, what should I be researching? What should I study, to actually, improve my life, right, in some way. So let's look at this hadith, which of course is being narrated from our seventh Imam, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far al-Kazim alayhi salatu wassalam. He's reported to have said, وَجَدْتُ عِلْمَ النَّاسِ فِي أَرْبَعٍ, that I have found the knowledge of mankind, knowledge meaning for humans, in 4 different types or 4 different categories. أَوَّلُهَا أَن تَعْرِفَ رَبَّكَ. The first is that you go and deeply understand and have ma'rifah of your Rabb. That's the first. وَالثَّانِيَةَ أَن تَعْرِفَ مَا صَنَعَ بِكَ. The second, after gaining ma'rifah of your Rabb, is that you go and you figure out, what has my Rabb done for me? What has He built for me? What has He created for me? وَثَالِثًا, the third, أَن تَعْرِفَ مَا أَرَادَ مِنْكَ. The third is after ma'rifah of my Rabb, after figuring out what and learning what He's done for me. The third is that I figure out, what does He want from me? What is His irada? What does my Rabb desire from me? And the final, وَرَابِعًا, the fourth, أن تعرف ما يخرجك من دينك. After the ma'rifah of my Rabb, after learning what my Lord has done for me, after figuring out what my Rabb, what my nourisher desires and intends for me, the last thing is what's going to take me out of His deen, what's going to take me away from Him. So we'll spend a few minutes tonight and try to analyze this piece by piece. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So there's different ways of looking at this hadith. One would be taking, each piece, right, the ma'rifah of Allah, meaning ma'rifah of your Rabb, the blessings or understanding the ma'rifah of what He's done for us, what does He want from us, purpose-wise, and then what takes us out of from the deen. Each of those has its own discussion. What's interesting is that perhaps another way of looking at this is that this is perhaps also telling us and giving us some hierarchical order. This is giving us maybe a tartib as well. That if you want to go and research, and get stronger in your deen, not just that these 4 things are important, but maybe the order, like this is an order of operations for us as well. Start with Allah, start with the Rabb, then figure out what has He done for you, then find out what does He want from you, and then end by saying, okay, what's going to take me away from Him? What's going to take me out of that path towards Him? Right? And it's a very logical way of approaching it. But the reason I wanted to emphasize that is to, kind of highlight right away that one of the biggest mistakes that sometimes we make or has been made by people in Islamic education is that they end up doing this sometimes in complete reverse order. Rather than following this tartib, this successive order, they go backwards. Meaning the first thing that they end up learning, the first thing that they end up telling somebody else, let's say they come across a revert or convert to Islam, the first thing they tell them, they follow the reverse order. Or when it comes to their own children or grandchildren or their family members, they also start in reverse order. Meaning what? They don't talk about Allah first. They go first to, all right, what's going to take you away from the deen? Let's talk about haram first. Don't do this, don't do that, that's haram, that'll get you to hell, don't do this, don't do that. Right? It's a bunch of no, 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 negative statements. That's how a lot of us start off by trying to, inform and educate people. And there's been a lot of, let's say, I don't want to say successful, but that was the famous, mashhur type of tabligh that happened that many of you may have grown up with as well. And that some speakers still utilize, where their main thing is not talking about Allah as the Rabb, not talking about the ni'mat and the barakat and the blessings, not even talking about what Allah wants from us. They start by just saying, let me tell you what you shouldn't be doing. Let me tell you about hellfire, what will take you towards hellfire, etc. And they kind of use that, scary model. So they start with this. And there's a lot of negative consequences, right? For adults, that's one thing. But for children especially, we don't have this sort of, I don't even say emphasize, we don't have this mentioned by the Ahlul Bayt at all, that this is the way that children should be spoken to. In fact, it's actually the exact opposite. Even when it comes to what we would think of in terms of obvious religious education. Now, let me give you an example. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, a lot of educators, parents, they like to, of course, focus on the Quran, Quranic education for their children. And what that normally means is, I want my kid to just memorize these short surahs, or maybe ayat, but normally it's short surahs, right? Jump to the 30th para, juz, memorize all this stuff. That's a lot of what people do. I don't want to talk about whether that's actually the best way or not. Let's leave that for another night. But that's what a lot of people do. They jump into, hafidh or memorization mode. And they want their kids to just do that. And when they do, they're really happy, and they like to show their kids off, like, oh, come, especially, when I meet new families, they grab their kids, they bring them in front of me, go ahead, recite Surah Ikhlas from Maulana. Like I'm going to be impressed, like, wow, mashallah. I'm kind of impressed, but, it's not like I go out and like, let me hear what your kids can recite. It's not like I care necessarily. But, a lot of people, they get happy with that, right? It's like their trophy kid. Okay, cool. So most of us would probably have in our minds that, hey, memorizing surahs of Quran, there can't be any negative to that, is there? Like teaching our kids and having them recite the Quran, that should be a good thing. Like mutlaqan in every sense. What we have from the Ahlul Bayt though, what we have from the teachings of the ulama is that no, there are some traditions which indicate that not all ayat of Quran should be taught to children or even recited around children. Actually goes for adults too, but tonight I just want to focus on children for a little bit. Not all of the surahs are meant to be recited or taught to children. So what we have in riwayat is that the Makkan shorter surahs, right? Usually the short surahs are known as the Makkan surahs. Makkan surahs are normally shorter ones. Especially the ones towards the end of the Quran, right? That's where you find everything. The style of those surahs and those ayat are usually the same, right? Think about Surah Al-Lahab, think about Ma'un. All these later surahs usually end up talking about hellfire, punishment, people who disobey Allah, and it lets them know what the punishment will be. Now, you and I might be okay with that. It's Quran, we hear it. The verses, the traditions from the Ahlul Bayt actually mention that this is not a good thing for children to hear, not a good thing for them to recite, and you shouldn't be reciting it around them, and don't teach that to them. You might say, why? It's Quran. But many of our ulama, based on these ahadith, they emphasize that this sort of, look, the Quran has, it's all light, it's all nur, we don't deny that, it's all hidayat and guidance, but still, even within the Quran, there are some verses which are known as the more jalali and harsher verses, harsher ayat, which are not meant for everybody. Definitely, they're saying not for children. You don't want to introduce Allah to your child, to a young kid, or even, let's say, a convert or revert, anybody, a new Muslim. The first thing you say is, hey, this person went against the Prophet, now they're burning in whatever level of hell. These are the lists of different punishments in hell. Like that's not the way you start a conversation, right? Even when you think about anything else in life, sometimes we ask, when, let's say, a doctor or whatever comes in a room, say, do you want the good news or the bad news first? I don't know about most people, but a lot of people would say, let me start with the good news. Maybe if I'm in a better mood, when you give me the good news, that'll soften the blow for the bad news that'll come afterwards, right? Most people may not want to hear the good news, the bad news first. Everybody's going to be different, but definitely for a child, or when you're first being introduced to a subject, to be bombarded with a bunch of negative stuff right away, and again, hellfire and brimstone and punishment and this and this and this, maybe that's not the best way to start off, right? Teaching Islam, especially for a young child. When you look at the other way, the way that Imam Al-Kazim alayhi salam is introducing it, he says, start with ma'rifah of your Rabb. That's, the first and most important thing. And many riwayat say the same thing. When you're introducing, and he doesn't say ma'rifah of Allah, he actually says ma'rifah of your Rabb. What's the difference? Remember, we've talked about the idea of Rabb, Rububiyyah, this, again, nourisher, this cherisher that we're thinking about Allah, is somebody who has this loving nature, who's managing and making sure every single thing that you need in your life to reach your perfection, your kamal, is put in front of you. So what we normally consider it, we frame it as, motherly qualities of Allah and fatherly qualities, right? That's some way that the ulama phrase it. The motherly qualities, normally, everybody's household is different, but normally when we think of mother, we think of love and rahmah and kindness and ease, right? That's what we think of. Father, we think of discipline, punishment, harshness, right? Things like that. So they say rububiyyah, that Rabb is more of the motherly qualities of Allah, so to speak. right? Now, Allah doesn't have gender. If ever we're going to say something's non-binary, it's Allah. He's the only one that would be non-binary, right? Genderless. Nothing else. Humans have gender, sorry to say. But for Allah, no, there is no gender there. But if you're talking about the way that the names are looked at, yeah, they can be, we can think about them abstractly in two different ways. These nourishing, kind, loving, jamali qualities. Now, when you're thinking about ma'rifah of your Rabb, what should that bring to your mind? Allah's provided me a home. He's provided me with a family. He's provided me with the deen of the Ahlul Bayt. He's provided me with all this hidayat and guidance. He's given me the ability to understand Him. He's given me this ability to, even if after I make mistakes, I can do tawbah and istighfar and He'll accept it. But this is the way you understand your Rabb, right? With these loving qualities. Nobody says, my Rabb, my nourisher, is the one that if I disobey and if I do shirk, He's going to burn me in this level of hell. My Rabb is the one that if I disobey Him in this way, this is the type of punishment that happens to me. That's not the way we think about Rabb. Nobody thinks about a nourisher and a manager and a loving Lord in that sort of manner. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, if we want to stick with what we see in many riwayat, like this one, then for ourselves, for others who maybe are trying to reintroduce themselves to Islam or get reacquainted with it, and then especially for children, this method that the Imam is saying is, no, introduce them to your Rabb, the one that is showing them love and mercy and compassion. Don't start talking about halal and haram, things like that right away. Why? Because now you can understand this pecking order, it makes sense. If you understand your Rabb, you're like, okay, Allah has, who Allah really is. Then by, the next statement is, what has your Rabb done for you? Ma sana'a bik. Literally it says, what has He built for you? This whole universe is at your disposal. Every single thing that's been created has been for you. For insan, as we've been talking about on Thursday nights, every single variable, every atom, every particle, everything is designed so that you and I can get back to Allah. That's the only reason it's here. And Allah specifically designed it, cause and effect and everything, so that we can get back to Him. That's it. So this whole world now, if I understand Allah, I understand my Rabb, then I understand that there's a process to get back to Him. So, okay, this Rabb has done all this stuff for me. Then, okay, now Allah, what is your irada? What do you want from me now? What is that way to get back to you? What is my purpose here, right? This is following a logical sort of train of thought here. And then once somebody says, okay, I know my Rabb. I know what He's done for me. I know what He wants from me. And then you're now pushed to go. Like you actually have motivation to go on that path. Naturally, you'll say, okay, I got the path there to get to my Allah. He's shown me the blessings. I got all of that. I also now want to make sure I don't do anything that'll actually take me away from this. And that would be the last step. Not the first step. The last one is, now that I'm motivated enough, I've gotten the catalyst, the catalyzing factors. I've gotten everything I need. I want to do this. I want to go towards Allah. I want to go on this journey and learn about Islam. Okay, well, what's going to take me away? What are the boundaries? What are the red lines? What are the muharramat? Now I need to know that. And interesting, the Imam does not say, teach them halal and haram. He doesn't phrase it like that. He says, the ma'rifah of what will take you away and remove you from the deen. So the assumption here is that somebody's already chosen their deen as Islam. That they've understood ayat of Quran like, inna deen, inda Allah al-Islam. Right? Things like that. If somebody doesn't have that path figured out for themselves, if their deen is something else right now, they're still working on, pushing away from the dunya, then teaching them halal and haram, what'll take them away from the deen, doesn't make any sense to them. That's why, a lot of people, what is their focus right now? They're worried about, let's say, more physical things. Why is it that nowadays all of these, let's say, financial gurus or, these motivational speakers, they all focus on the exact same stuff. I mean, they're all like broken records when you listen to them. Same exact stories. They talk about, how much screen time, your exercise level, your nutrition, your sleep, how you time everything, make sure you have your task lists and all this, atomic habits and, all these things. The exact same stuff is there. They're telling you if you want to maximize your potential, maximize your daily life, make more money, be successful, be happy, they lay out this. What they're framing for you is somebody whose deen is the dunya. Their deen is to become materialistic. That's the framework. So they're saying, hey, if you are on your screen first thing in the morning, that's going to take you away from success, right? You won't be a successful, elite, whatever. If you don't go to the gym, you don't work out, you don't eat healthy, that's going to take you away from, having that strength and focus. If, let's say you don't, for example, if you're a person who has caffeine like chai or coffee, If you have these things right in the morning, instead of waiting an hour and a half or 2 hours when your cortisol levels are higher, whatever all that science and stuff is, if you don't do that, then it's going to push you away from success. So this is how they frame it. They're all talking about get to success, which for them is materialistic. I'm not saying they're wrong necessarily, but I'm saying this is the deen that they're speaking to. So that's why so many people, a lot of Muslims are into this stuff, right? They'll listen to all these, Joe Rogan stuff, Andrew Huberman, all these people, because they're talking about this, and somebody will follow this. They'll listen to 2-3 hour podcasts for that reason, because they're interested. Their deen is what? I want to be financially successful. I want to be a millionaire before 30 or 40, right? I don't want to do things that'll take me away from that. I want to have a path and trajectory towards that. And these guys are laying it out, so you're going to follow it. And they're going to tell you, if you do this or this or this, that'll take you off the path. That's what makes sense. If somebody says, I don't care about money, I don't care about being a millionaire by 30 or 40, then why would they bother themselves with this sort of podcasts or these speakers? They won't. Well, the same thing is going to apply to deen too. Instead of telling somebody, do you know that you made a mistake in your namaz right now? Or your wudu is a problem over here? Or this food, you shouldn't have this ingredient and that ingredient? The person will say, look, man, you can care about that stuff. I don't care about religion like that. So why are you telling me about this? I don't have that interest in halal and haram because I don't care about Allah like that. Or their understanding of their Rabb is something different. Like a lot of modern day, people, these progressive types, my Allah is bigger than religion. The God that I worship, He doesn't have all these rules and regulations and things like that. It's all about your intention and your niyyah and love and blah, 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 all that hippie stuff, right? That's what a lot of people have. So what is the Imam saying? He said, look, you want to get to that fourth stage of things that'll remove you from your deen? Tell them, have them get ma'rifah of their Rabb first. Once you understand what Allah really is, what He's done for you, what He wants from you, then it'll make sense to then speak about the things that'll pull you away from that deen. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So once again, let's summarize the hadith. First, ma'rifah of your Rabb. Second, ma'rifah of what He's done for you, meaning blessings, look at the world of creation, be thankful, gratitude, all that. Third is, what does He want from me? Think about life purpose and goal. A person can think about themselves like, okay, what do I think I want out of life? Is that the same thing that Allah wants for my life too? Sometimes they're not always the same. Sometimes we think about our own life plan, life goal, we have a trajectory. Well, that might not be what Allah wants. I might say, I'm good at this, I think I should do this. Maybe Allah wants something else. So we have to think about that as well, right? What does Allah want? What does my Rabb want? And the fourth and final one is, now that I've picked that path, that deen of Islam, what's going to take me off of that path, right? So this is one short hadith, but I think it's very, very powerful. It has a lot of, deep insights in it. And I thought it would be wonderful to share for tonight. Hopefully we can all implement it into our lives, inshallah. Now we can move on with our Slido quiz for tonight. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so salam alaikum to Qadimiyya, to calm down. I can't be calm. It's a Wiladat celebration. I shouldn't be calm, right? Hasan, Sakina. Abu, one day you're going to have to tell me why you have two U's. I don't understand it. Husseini Ali Mahdi. Cortisol level. DOG, SD. Abbas Suleiman. Habibi, specialists. Amir, hybrid. KQ. Sakina. I know there was two now, right? Oh, what happened? Something keeps happening over here. I think people are signing in with not so halal names, and then they have to edit this or something. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, I can read from this list. Mohogo again is back. Muhammad Abbas, Hamisi, Zahra Ali, Imam, Salam, Ammar Ali, sorry. Oh, there, it's back. Carnivorous Orange, very nice name. SSMP. I don't know what that R, quadruple E, C, whatever, I don't know. I have no idea what that is. Wajib coffee, yes. Yeah. 1.5 hours to 2 hours after you wake up. That's the time when you want to have your coffee. Trust me. Okay. All right, let's get started, inshallah. Good luck to everybody. The 7th Imam alayhi salam was born when? 7th of Muharram, 7th of Safar, 7th of Rajab, or 8th of Rajab. So The ones who said 7th Rajab, you would have figured that it's celebrated tonight, but no, his birthday is actually the 7th of Safar. Yeah. After the birth of his son, on the 7th of Safar, the 6th Imam alayhi salam, what did he do? Hold a public Majalis for Imam Husseini alayhi salam, cried and recited poetry for Imam Hussein by himself, had a celebration and gave out food to people for 3 days, or was it all of the above? What did Imam Sadiq alayhi salam do upon the birth of his son Imam al-Kazim alayhi salam? You'd think it's all of the above, but no, none of the. It was only that he had a celebration and he gave out food to people for 3 days on the 7th of Safar. Number 3, who is reported to have said that the grave of Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam is a tried and tested medicine, a shifa or a dawa. Sayyid Masuma Qum alayhi salam, Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, Ayatullah Bahjat, Qaddasallahu Sirru, or Imam Shafi'i. For those who don't know, Imam Shafi'i is one of the 4 Sunni scholars of the Madhahib, right? Shafi'i school of thought. I tricked you there. Sorry, it was the Sunni scholar Imam Shafi'i. Many of these Sunni scholars gave a lot of importance to the Ahlul Bayt, and they would do their Ziyarat frequently, and they would say Imam Shafi'i used to visit him every year, when possible. Last question. In the Super Mario Brothers series, what is Yoshi's full name? T. Yoshisor Manchakupas, Yoshi Soto, Yoshi Tanake, or Yoshi Smith? What is Yoshi's full name? Oh, most of you got this wrong. Yeah, that's the first one. T. Yoshisor Manchakupas. Nobody has any idea why, but that's his full name. So we're going to have a bunch of 3 out of 4s. Yeah, I figured it. Okay. Qambar, good job. 27 seconds, 3 out of 4. Specialist in second place, only 2 seconds behind. Calm down, 3 out of 4, 33 seconds. Maybe if you calm down, you would have won. Fatima, 3 out of 4, 43 seconds. And Amir, 2 out of 4, 37 seconds. Congratulations, Qambar, once again. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Ahl Baytihi at-Tayyibin at-Tahirin.
Salawat. Afzal salam Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. या अली लब पे मेरे सुबह मसा रहता है, या अली लब पे मेरे सुबह मसा रहता है, जामे कौसर मेरे होठों से लगा रहता है, या अली लब पे मेरे सुबह मसा रहता है। सब मिलके या अली लब पे मेरे सुबह मसा रहता है, जामे कौसर मेरे होठों से लगा रहता है। या अली जिसके चेहरे पे खुशी नाम अली से आए, जिसके चेहरे पे खुशी नाम अली से आए, उसका चेहरा दम आखिर बिखला रहता है, उसका चेहरा या अली उसका चेहरा दम आखिर बिखला रहता है, या अली लब पे मेरे सुबह मसा रहता है। ए मुनाफिक मैं नुसैरी को बुरा कैसे कहूँ, ए मुनाफिक मैं नुसैरी को बुरा कैसे कहूँ, मेरे दिल में भी नुसैरी का खुदा रहता है, मेरे दिल में भी नुसैरी का खुदा रहता है, या अली लब पे मेरे सुबह मसा रहता है, जामे कौसर मेरे होठों से लगा रहता है। شیر خدا داماد پیمبر حیدر 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 شیر خدا داماد پیمبر حیدر 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 شافی محشر ساقی کوثر حیدر 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 بولنا میں نے جب سیکھا تھا ماں نے میری یہ مجھ سے کہا تھا بولنا میں نے جب سیکھا تھا ماں نے میری یہ مجھ سے کہا تھا بولو بیٹا جان لگا کر حیدر 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 شیر خدا داماد پیمبر حیدر 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 میری وصیت یاد یہ رکھنا قبر کے باہر تم سب کہنا میری وصیت یاد یہ رکھنا قبر کے باہر تم سب کہنا خود میں کہوں گا قبر کے اندر حیدر 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 شیر خدا داماد پیمبر حیدر 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 ذکر علی پر پابندی تھی لیکن زینب ایسے بولی ذکر علی پر پابندی تھی لیکن زینب ایسے بولی گونج اٹھا دربار کے اندر حیدر 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 شیر خدا داماد پیمبر حیدر 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 صلوات
اسلامک یا رسول اللہ اسلامک یا نبی اللہ اسلامک یا امیر المؤمنین علی نبی طالب اسلامک یا فاطمة زہرا سیدۃ نساء العالمین اسلامک یا حسن مجتبی اسلامک یا ابا عبداللہ حسین اسلامک یا ان المسلمین علی بن حسین حمد بن علی وجعفر محمد موسى بن جعفر ولي بن موسى محمد بن علي ولي محمد حسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن يا صاحب الزمان أسامك خيط الرحمن أسامك شيك القرآن أسامك مطر الإيمان يا إمامنا ما من سوى الجان أجر الله فرجا وسره الله مخرجا ودبورك رحمة الله وبركاته اللهم قل وليك الحجة من حسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا وتليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا